Alright, so got a quick demo review for at0m here. First off, great profile picture. Love Sean Cares. Alright, so you have a really good game this demo. Good, almost ridiculously good game, to be honest. Let's skip to the third round. You guys, or at the fourth round, you guys went past 3, and then that was the CT's first gun round. And you had a pretty monster Tech 9 round for the second round.
Roger that.
And one thing I noticed is that you have really good aim. Your spray control could use a little bit work, but your aim is like on point. You don't need crazy spray control when you can just shoot the head in the first 2 bullets. So, but I would suggest working on that. So here's what I was talking about. One thing I noticed, of course, it might not have mattered much here.
Deploying flashbang.
It might not have mattered much here. Hold on, let me just get rid of these black textures. So it might not have mattered much here, but often what I would see is that you would usually buy a smoke, 2 flashbangs, and then another. Oh, well, I chose the wrong one. You usually buy smoke, 2 flashbangs, and then another grenade, whether it be a Molotov or a AG. And what I noticed would happen is when you're executing onto a site with your team, you're not afraid to use those grenades. However, when you're just kind of like pushing the initiative and not necessarily a specific site, you tend to die with grenades in your hand. Like here, you pushed up, and I mean, you just straight wide peeked that and then peeked for Z. I mean, you could have smoked off Z and flashed into here and then pushed up into A and cleared it out. And then when your teammates said they're flanking, you could have pushed through A main and flanked the rotate. So I would suggest getting used to. I think the problem is that you understand that you should be using grenades, but it's like you think they're only being used for objectives. If you're using a smoke grenade and a flash grenade, you should just in general be using it for map control, not necessarily just for like pushing the objective. So I'd work on that. So you guys are executing on the B, pick up the op, and then you pull out a grenade or whatever now.
Roger that.
Anytime now. Come on, pull it out. I know you want to. Alright, you pull out the grenade, the flashbang, toss it, and you die. So this is a problem. This is a problem I see a lot of people have, and it's not just low ranks, like it's DMG too. People tend to throw grenades completely out in the open. Like, there was a smoke here, I understand, but you gotta understand that only lasts 15 seconds. And you were just kind of standing right here. You probably just got like caught up in the moment. You're like, oh, I should flash in the site. But I mean, you can't. If you're gonna do that, stand here, right? Whenever you're throwing grenades of any sort, you want to be throwing them from cover. First off, that smoke didn't do anything important. It was just a waste of smoke. I would just suggest learning catch smokes and learning how to do them. I mean, even if you just barely learn them and you can't always do them. Alright, done right there. So I think maybe you're getting a bit confident because I think maybe you're getting a bit confident because you were just carrying like so hard this half, and you just kept shoulder peeking that guy. Thing you need to keep in mind, like, your team is obviously like focusing on A. At least the bomb and this guy are. You and other dude were mid. You don't really need to be peeking this guy. I mean, if you have smokes and flashes, I mean, you can take the fight to him. You could smoke up Z, flash in, and go for it. But really, if you're peeking this, what you're doing is you're taking a 50-50 chance on a gun trade, and if you lose, your team's in a disadvantage. And obviously you and your teammate lost, so now you left your team in a 3v5, which is obviously never good. So if you're gonna go for plays where plays like that where you're just trying to get mid control, it's one of those things where like grenades will help you. Like you want to put your gunfights as much in favor in you as possible. And I mean, if that's flashing him, mauling him off of his spot so he has to peek out to challenge you or something, like, and at the very least, you don't even have to kill this guy. If you do anything to get control of mid, if you just make him run away in any like sort, where like smoke Z and like molly him or something, anything to make him say, all right, they're mid, I'm gonna back off, you now have control of mid, right? You don't even have to be there, honestly. Like if you made him run away, he's like, all right, they're gonna be mid, and then you guys just said, all right, he went towards A, let's just rotate B because they're gonna have two people playing there, right? So you don't need to be taking those gunfights. Like you can shoulder peek out and go for that quick headshot, but if you don't hit it the first, maybe second time, you should be out of there. There's no reason to keep pushing that fight, especially when it's definitely not in your favor.
Let's win.
Okay, so this round is one of those rounds where you definitely drop the ball, especially because you're hard carrying your team. When you realize you're in a position where you're carrying your team, you need to be putting yourself in a position where you're impacting the round as much as possible, because obviously you're the most impactful player. And here, pushing the checkers, which is okay.
Throwing a grenade.
Here, like
Deploying flashbang.
this whole round, you just stay pinned up in checkers, and even though you guys had the advantage, it ultimately cost you the round and even the half. So the thing about checkers, pushing the checkers, and especially this spot, is you should not be going there until your team is on site, right? You had bomb down, two people here, you were here, and a person mid, okay? Now when you heard that vent break, like you should have just called it out to your team, and this guy would have went for it, like would have went for the kill because he's behind him. There was like a dude Heaven, like Heaven smoked off, you smoked off a tree, like there's no reason why you shouldn't be pushing in a site and getting that bomb down. I think you got too tunnel visioned into like I should kill this guy to realize that you guys still don't have bomb down. And yeah, you could blame your team for not getting there and putting the bomb down, but you are, let's look at the score. I mean, you are like by far like doing the best on your team. You have 44 points. This guy second to you is 28. Alright? Like I said, when you're carrying a team, you need to put yourself in a position where you're impacting the round as much as possible. So by sitting here, the only area you're taking control of and the only thing you're impacting is anybody that comes into here, right? What's important is what's here, but you're over here. So you need to be you need to stop hiding here and stop tunneling onto this guy. You need to realize you need to get your team in a position where they can get the bomb down and win, right? Because when you started hovering around checkers, you had like two people here and then this guy behind, right? You should be with them. And then it definitely cost your team the round and eventually the half. Alright. So this is the last round I want to talk about, because really this was just a great game by you, and I think this really is just going to sum up like what I need to tell you. So first off, already, the second you realize that somebody smoked off truck or smoked off that forklift highway, you should have realized that they're executing on A. I don't know if you realized that or not. You just decided to go mid instead, or what? But you only have one other teammate on A. You need to be helping him out with this execute. You get flashed. You start turning back, and now this is the problem. When you realize this is smoked off, instead of saying, "All right, this is smoked off. I need to be keeping them off of sight," like you just stay here. And I mean, the worst thing you could do with a smoke in your way is just staying behind it and doing nothing, because all you're doing is just strafing back and forth, looking at the smoke, maybe waiting for someone to push through. As soon as that smoke went down, you really should have just like pushed over here on it, maybe even played this corner, see if you can peek through the smoke, and like once they get on site, you can peek out and then get some kills that they weren't expecting you to be here. And especially because there's almost always a lurker, the fact that you just stayed here and this guy just came around and killed you is like there's so many things you could have done about that. Like, I know you shouldn't, like, you're not always thinking, oh, there's somebody lurking, but the fact that your death was caused by the decision of you just kind of strafing back and forth and just deciding to like bow down to the smoke. You don't need to fucking listen to the smoke. I mean, if anything, you have double flashes. I would have honestly like approved more if you flashed through smoke and then pushed through forklift. Like, you could have went cat or pushed on the site or anything to the smoke, but you just kind of sat there and kind of just let the smoke handle you guys. I tell a lot of people that smokes and flashes will win you rounds, and like in this case, it definitely won them a round because they smoked you off completely, and instead of doing something about it, you just kind of held there. I mean, anything. You could have went cat, up the ladder, went cat. You could have gone on the site. I mean, you could have flashed through and pushed through smoke. It would have been better. Or at the very least, I wouldn't ever suggest this as a point of action, but it would be better than just strafing, sitting there, as if you just, you know, killed this guy and just flanked around completely, wrapped around. And I don't watch the rest of this game, to be honest. I really don't need to. I think you just need to realize that, especially when you're doing so well, you need to be more, I don't want to say aggressive, you need to be more objective about the way you play. Because when you're in the lead, like when you're in the lead and you have such a huge like margin of like effect in this game over your teammates, there's no reason to be just sitting highway and doing nothing. So things to work on your spray control, because your aim is already really good. Like, you're hitting them in the head almost all the time, but your spray control needs a little bit of work. You need to be using your grenades more, 100%. I mean, you died there with another 3 grenades, which happens a lot with you. And you need to be more impactful on the rounds. Whenever you're winning rounds for your team, it's because you're getting kills. You also need to be like top fragging and carrying your team, because you're being objective about the way you go about winning the rounds, right? Like, some days you're not going to have those games where you're getting 3 headshots in one round. Some days you will, and sometimes when you're not getting those headshots, you can't be playing like this all the time. You got to be playing for the objective and winning the round rather than playing for all those frags. So, yeah. You're a great player. You had a great game here, and keep improving.